Would anyone like to come up for a story this morning? Oh, this one's heavy. It's really heavy. Yeah, I'm so glad to see you. Good to see all of you. Hi, Robin. Well, this story that I want to tell you this morning is a very old story, and so, well, you'll find out eventually, maybe. But it starts with the cloth, yeah. Like I always do, yeah. This cloth that tells us that we're in the land where Jesus lived and taught people about God, taught people about love. And this story starts, where a lot of them do, in a little village called Nazareth. Have you heard that one before? No. Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, this is, Nazareth was a tiny village, really. This is the place where Jesus lived, where he grew up. And pretty normal, sort of like Lake Country, pretty normal kind of town. People went to school, they went to church, they went to work. Most people here believed in God because that's what you did in those days, kind of without even thinking about it sometimes. And so these are kind of all the, well, not all people, these are a few of the people that would have lived in this town. But life was very hard. They had to work really hard. A lot of the money that they made was taken by the government, and so they didn't have a lot of money. He lost his foot, yeah. Oh, he's got, yeah. Oops. And Jesus lived here, and he worked too, but he watched all these people, and he thought, oh, life is so hard for them. And he wasn't happy about how people were treated. Sometimes they weren't treated very well. And he had like an ache in his heart that he wanted things to be better, and wasn't sure how that could happen. But one day, he's backwards? No, his feet are pointing up, right? Is one turned the other way?
Yes.
There we go. But one day he heard about this guy named John who had left his town and was living out in the desert by the Jordan River. And John also felt that things needed to be better, that people needed to have a different way to live, to feel better about their lives. And so what happened is people would hear about him, and they would go out to listen to what he had to say. You might have to hang on to that one, Taylor. He's having trouble. So they would go out and they would listen to what he had to say, and more people started to leave their towns to listen to John. And Jesus did the same thing. He left Nazareth and he went out to hear what John had to say. And he really liked the idea of living differently, of finding a different way to live. And what John kept telling people was that they needed not just to believe in God, they needed to feel God. They needed to feel God in their hearts and in their lives. And what would happen when people started to feel God, they would go into the river. John would walk out into the river.
But that's wood.
And you have to use your imagination. and he would take them out, and they would say, I want to live different than I've been living. And so he would take them and he would push them down under the water. And they'd come up and they would feel wet and different. They would feel different. And so one day, you have to hold him again because he wants to keep falling over. And so every day people would go out in the water with John and he would push them under the water. And they would feel different. And this one day that this story is about is the day that Jesus decided he wanted to do the same thing. He wanted to live life differently. And so he went out into the water, and John, who lost his balance, pushed Jesus down under the water. And the story goes that when Jesus came up out of the water, all of a sudden he felt like the sky opened and this Spirit descended, and it was like a dove coming down. You talked about a dove last week, about a dove coming down and landing on him, and he just felt full of God. He felt God everywhere, in his hands and in his eyes and in his heart. And he heard a voice say, "You are my Son, my beloved. With you I am pleased." And Jesus knew from that point on what he had to do. He had to help people feel God. I wonder how it feels to know you are loved. It feels like a nice, beautiful taste of chocolate. Taylor, you're happy? Yeah. And I wonder how it feels when you show love to someone else. They feel happy? It gets their heart so that they want to do it to others, yeah. Fenton?
It feels like you're happy too when you help other people.
Yeah, it feels like you're happy too. Yeah, love is a really good thing. Well, we're going to sing a really neat song, and I need your help because we have to jump in this song. Can you help me jump? It's called "I Can Feel You Near Me, God." So let's go down on the floor so that we have a place that isn't near water to jump on. And we're going to sing "I Can Feel You Near Me, God."